The council chamber was the largest room Jiho had ever seen, even after 15 years of visiting it. The ceiling stretched up so high that clouds sometimes formed near the top. Representatives from 47 different species sat in curved rows that circled the speaking floor. Some had scales, some had feathers, and some were made of something that looked like living crystal. Jiho walked to the center of the floor. His footsteps echoed in the massive space. Behind him, Hana and Nari followed. Hana wore her old military uniform, though she hadn't served in the fleet for 5 years. Nari carried a small datapad, her fingers nervous against its surface. "The human delegation wishes to speak," Jiho said. His voice carried through the chamber thanks to the translation system built into the walls. Speaker Velthar clicked his mandibles together. The insectoid leader of the council had never liked humans. His compound eyes gleamed with something that might have been amusement. "Speak then, Ambassador. We have important matters to discuss today." "That is why we must speak first," Jiho said. He touched his wrist device, and a holographic display appeared above his head. It showed the emblem of Earth and the Galactic Council together. After 150 years of membership, humanity is withdrawing from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. The chamber erupted. Delegates stood and shouted in dozens of languages. The translation system struggled to keep up with all the noise. Velthar slammed his speaking staff against the floor 3 times, creating booms that silenced the room. "Explain yourself," Velthar demanded. Jiho kept his face calm. "For the past 50 years, we have warned this council about growing threats at the outer borders. We have proposed solutions for the refugee crisis in the Kelvar sector. We have offered to mediate the dispute between the Rogoth and the Silkeen people. Every time, this council has dismissed our concerns. Because humans always overreact," said Defense Coordinator Millerin. The crystalline being's voice sounded like wind chimes. "You see danger in every shadow." "We see danger because we are the ones responding to it," Hana said, stepping forward. "While you debate in this comfortable chamber, human ships are the ones pulling survivors from destroyed stations. Human medical teams are the ones treating plague victims. Human engineers are the ones keeping your trade routes running. Auxiliary support is what humans do best," Velthar said. Several delegates laughed. "You are very good at following orders and doing simple tasks. That is valuable, but it does not make you qualified to set policy." Jiho felt Nari's hand touch his shoulder gently. He took a breath. "We are not asking to set policy anymore. We are leaving." Trade Minister Quox, a reptilian being with golden scales, leaned forward in his seat. "Ambassador Jiho, please. Let us discuss this reasonably. What do you want?" "Nothing," Jiho said. "We wanted partnership. We wanted respect. We no longer believe we can find those things here." He touched his wrist device again. The holographic display changed. It now showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of small blue dots scattered across it. "These are human vessels, stations, and personnel. All of them are receiving recall orders right now. We have 90 days to complete our withdrawal." The blue dots on the map started to move, slowly converging toward one small corner of the galaxy where Earth sat. "This is absurd," Millerin said. "You cannot simply leave. You have contracts, obligations, treaties. All of which have clauses allowing withdrawal from the Council," Nari said quietly. "We have followed every legal requirement. In 90 days, there will be no human presence in Council space except for our embassy staff, who will remain only to process final paperwork." Velthar's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Fine. Leave then. The Council has managed the galaxy for 10,000 years before humans arrived. We will manage just fine without you." He looked around the chamber. "I call for a vote. All in favor of accepting the human resignation from the Council?" Hands, claws, tentacles, and appendages rose throughout the chamber. 44 of the 47 species voted yes. Only Trade Minister Quox and 2 others voted no. "It is decided," Velthar announced. "Humanity is released from all Council obligations. You have 90 days." Jiho bowed. It was a human gesture that most species understood as respect. "Thank you, Speaker. We wish the Council well." He turned to leave. Wait, Quox called out. Ambassador, please reconsider. At least tell us what will happen to the services your people currently provide. Jiho stopped. He didn't turn around. Those services were never mandatory. We provided them because we believed in helping others. Because we believed in the Council's mission. That belief is gone. He paused. What happens next is your responsibility, not ours. Hana added one more thing as they walked toward the exit. We came in peace. We leave in peace. Remember that? The massive doors closed behind the human delegation with a deep, final sound. In the chamber, delegates began talking all at once. Most seemed pleased. A few looked worried. Velthar called for order and started discussing the next item on the agenda, something about trade tariffs. In the back row, Trade Minister Quox sat very still. He opened his personal datapad and started searching for information. His aide, a younger reptilian named Sisk, leaned over. What are you looking for, Minister? I want to know what exactly humans do for the Council, Quox said quietly. I want to see all the services they provide, all the stations they operate, all the routes they manage. Sisk nodded and started typing. A few minutes later, she stopped. Her scales had turned a shade paler. Minister, this cannot be right. What did you find? The database shows humans operating or managing over 4,000 different essential services. Medical response, cargo logistics, station maintenance, conflict mediation, scientific research. Sisk's voice got quieter. Minister, humans are involved in almost everything. Quox felt something cold settle in his stomach. He looked up at the chamber where Velthar was still talking about tariffs. None of the other delegates seemed concerned. They thought the humans were just support workers, easily replaced. Did anyone else pull this data? Quox asked. I do not think so, Minister. Quox closed his datapad and sat back in his seat. He watched the blue dots on the holographic map continue their slow journey toward Earth. In 90 days, those dots would be gone. 4,000 essential services would stop. The Council had no idea what was coming. Taiyang watched the cargo containers float through space toward his ship. Each container was the size of a building and filled with medical supplies destined for the Outer Rim colonies. His crew had been running this route for 12 years. After today, someone else would have to do it. Captain, that's the last container locked in, his first officer reported. We're ready to depart. Set course for Earth, Taeyang said. The words felt strange in his mouth. He had been born on a colony world, not Earth. But Earth was calling all humans home now. Sir, we're receiving a message from Station Commander Draken. He's asking to speak with you. Taeyang sighed. Put him through. The avian commander's feathered face appeared on the screen. His beak clicked nervously. Captain Taeyang, please. You cannot leave. These colonies depend on your supply runs. The next scheduled delivery from a council ship is not for 6 weeks. Then I suggest you contact them and ask them to come sooner, Taeyang said gently. I'm sorry, Commander. My orders are clear. People will die without these supplies. Then the council should have thought about that before treating us like servants. Taeyang ended the transmission. He felt bad about it, but not bad enough to stay. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Every human ship was heading home. Every human worker was packing their things. The Great Withdrawal had begun. On Station Gamma 7, Minho stood in the engineering bay he had maintained for 8 years. The life support systems hummed around him, running smoothly because he checked them every day. He had trained the station's own engineers to do basic maintenance, but the complex stuff, that had always been his job. You are really leaving? Asked Vex, one of the station engineers. The small, furry being looked up at Minho with wide eyes. I am, Minho said. He packed his tools into a case. I showed you how to handle the basic repairs. The manuals are all in the system. But the crystalline reactor, the gravity generators, the water recycling plant, these are too complex for us. Minho paused. He wanted to help, but he also remembered how Station Commander Draken always introduced him. This is Minho, our human technician. Good for fixing things. Never our chief engineer. Never the expert who designed half our upgrades. You'll figure it out, Minho said. Or you can hire human contractors. We'll be available for hire, just not as council members anymore. Halfway across the galaxy, Sora sat in her office at the Emergency Response Center. Holographic screens floated around her, each showing a different crisis. A plague outbreak on Rigel 7, a station fire in the Keltor system, a ship collision near the border zones. Her team of 200 humans worked at their stations, coordinating rescue ships, medical supplies, and evacuation protocols. They had been doing this for decades. They were the best in the galaxy at it. "Ma'am, we're getting another distress call from Rigel 7, one of her coordinators said. The plague is spreading. They need medical teams immediately. Sora looked at the screen. She could see the infection spreading through the population charts. 3 million people were at risk. A month ago, she would have dispatched 5 medical ships without thinking. But those ships were already heading back to Earth. Forward the call to Council Medical Services, Sora said. Ma'am, Council Medical doesn't have ships in that sector. It will take them 3 weeks to get there. Then it will take 3 weeks. Sora stood up and addressed her entire team. Everyone, listen. I know this is hard. I know we want to help, but we are following our orders. We gave the council 90 days notice. They chose not to prepare. That's not our fault. The room was silent. Finally, someone said, Yes, ma'am. On Rigel 7, the plague spread. By the end of the week, the death toll reached 1 million. By the end of the month, it was 5 million. The council medical ships arrived on day 23, but by then, most of the damage was done. Trade Minister Quox stood in his office, staring at reports that got worse every day. 30 days had passed since the humans left. The galaxy was falling apart. Minister, the latest casualty reports from Rigel 7, his aide Sisk said quietly. Quox didn't look at the data pad she offered. How many? 5 million dead, another 2 million sick. And the human medical teams could have stopped it? Within a week, according to the projections. They had the facilities, the ships, and the experience with multi-species pandemics. Quox sat down heavily. What else? Sisk pulled up a list. Cargo shipping costs have increased by 300% in the outer sectors. Human logistics networks handled 40% of all inter-system trade. Without them, there are massive bottlenecks. Stations are running out of basic supplies. Continue. 12 major trade stations are experiencing life support failures. Human engineers maintained most of the complex systems. Local engineers are struggling to keep up with basic repairs. Continue. 3 border disputes have escalated to military standoffs. The humans were mediating all 3. Without them, both sides are preparing for war. Quox put his head in his hands. How did we not know? How did we not see how much they were doing? Because they never asked for credit, Minister. They just did the work. Sisk paused. I pulled the old records. Humans volunteered for every difficult assignment, every dangerous rescue, every thankless job. They did it all quietly while other species took the glory. And we called them glorified servants, Quox said bitterly. Yes, Minister. What is Speaker Velthar saying about all this? He insists these are temporary difficulties. He says the council will adapt and overcome. He refuses to acknowledge that the human departure is the cause. Quox stood up and walked to his window. Outside, he could see the council station, a massive structure that humans had helped build and maintain. Temporary difficulties, he repeated. We've lost 5 million people to a plague. Entire sectors are on the verge of famine. Station systems are failing. Wars are about to start. He turned to Sisk. How is any of this temporary? It is not, Minister. No, it is not. Quox made a decision. I want a full accounting of every service humans provided, every single one. I want projections on what happens when those services are completely gone, and I want to know how much it would cost to replace them. Sisk worked on her datapad. After a moment, she looked up. Minister, the cost to replace human services would be... It would exceed the council's entire annual budget, By a factor of 3. 3 times our budget? Yes, Minister. And that assumes we could even find people willing to do the work. Most of what humans did, they did better than anyone else. Quox felt that cold feeling in his stomach again. 30 days had passed, and the galaxy was already in crisis. 60 more days remained. What would the galaxy look like when the humans were completely gone? He thought about calling Ambassador Jaiho, about begging them to reconsider. But he remembered the look in Jaiho's eyes during that last meeting. The quiet disappointment. The resolve. The humans were done with them. And the galaxy was going to pay for it. 60 days after the withdrawal announcement, the galaxy was burning. Admiral Krevtok stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching his tactical display with growing horror. Red markers filled the screen, each one representing a crisis his fleet should be responding to. Pirate raids, border incursions, refugee ships under attack. There were too many. Far too many. Admiral, distress signal from Convoy 7 Alpha. They're under attack by raiders, his communications officer reported. Krevtok checked his fleet positions. The nearest ship was 6 hours away. Dispatch the Valor, best speed. Sir, the Valor is already responding to an attack on Convoy 3 Delta. Then send whoever is closest. Admiral, there is no one else. Every ship is engaged. Krevtok slammed his fist on the console. Before the humans left, this would not have been a problem. Human patrol ships had covered over 2,000 trade lanes. They had called it Auxiliary Security Support. The Council had thought it was just busy work, keeping the humans occupied. Now those 2,000 lanes were undefended. Pirates and raiders had noticed. Attacks had increased by 400% in just 2 months. Sir, Convoy 7 Alpha has gone silent. Another ship lost. Another crew dead. Krevtok added them to the growing list of casualties. Log it. Continue monitoring for survivors. On the planet Terminus, Una sat in what used to be her command center. The building was empty now except for her. All her staff had already left for Earth. She was the last one, making sure all the emergency equipment was properly shut down. Her wrist device chimed. Incoming call. She almost ignored it, but then she saw it was from the Refuge Coordination Center. She answered. This is Una. Thank the stars. We thought all humans had left already. The voice was panicked. We have a crisis. The war in the Keltor system has displaced 600 million refugees. They're fleeing toward Council space in thousands of ships. Most of the ships are breaking down. They need rescue, medical attention, food, water. We need your disaster response teams. Una felt her chest tighten. 600 million people. That was twice the population of Earth. I'm sorry. My teams left 3 weeks ago. You need to contact Council Emergency Services. We did. They said they don't have enough ships. They don't have multi-species medical facilities. They asked if we could contact the humans. The humans are no longer part of the Council, Una said quietly. You need to find another solution. There is no other solution. Your teams were the only ones equipped for this kind of disaster. The only ones with experience. The voice broke. Please. People are dying in space. Children are dying. Una closed her eyes. She thought about her teams. The best search and rescue specialists in the galaxy. They could save millions of those refugees. But they were gone, heading home because the Council had never valued their work. I'm sorry, she said again. I truly am, but this is not my decision anymore. She ended the call. In the Council chambers, chaos reigned. 15 species had withdrawn from the Council. 20 more were threatening to leave. The emergency session had been going for 6 hours with no resolution in sight. Order! Order! Velthar slammed his staff repeatedly. We must maintain order. Maintain order. A delegate from the Rogoth species stood, his rocky form trembling with rage. Our colonies are starving because the trade routes have collapsed. Our people are dying because your precious council cannot deliver basic supplies. The trade situation is being addressed, Velthar insisted. It has been 60 days. 60 days, and conditions only worsen. Another delegate stood. My government demands action. Either fix this crisis or we withdraw from the council entirely. More delegates stood, shouting. Velthar called for order, but no one listened. Trade Minister Quox sat quietly in his seat, watching the council destroy itself. Next to him, 3 other ministers were having a whispered conversation. "We need to contact the humans," one of them said. "Agreed," another replied. "This is madness. Velthar's pride is killing millions. If we contact them behind Velthar's back, it could be considered treason." Quox made his decision. "Then we commit treason. Contact Ambassador Jiho. Tell him we need to meet. Privately." 2 days later, Jiho returned to the council station. He met with Quox and 3 other ministers in a small, secure room far from the main chambers. The ministers looked exhausted and desperate. "Ambassador Jiho, thank you for coming," Quox said. "Minister Quox." Jiho sat down across from them. Hana and Nari stood behind him. "What can I do for you?" "Please reconsider your withdrawal," Quox said. "The galaxy is falling apart. Millions have died. Millions more will die if things continue this way." Jiho's face was sympathetic but firm. "And why is that my responsibility? When we warned you about the border threats, you ignored us. When we proposed solutions for the refugee crisis, you dismissed us. When we offered to help mediate conflicts, you told us to stay in our place. We were wrong," one of the other ministers said. "We did not understand how much you contributed. We took you for granted." "Yes, you did," Hana said coldly. "You treated us like servants, like tools you could use and discard." "We know," Quox said, "and we are sorry. But please, the people dying now are innocent. They did not make these decisions. They do not deserve to suffer for the council's mistakes." Jiho was quiet for a long moment. "You are right. They do not deserve this. But that does not change anything. We offered partnership. We offered respect. You wanted servants. We are going home." "What would it take for you to return?" Quox asked desperately. "Name your terms. Anything." "There are no terms," Jiho said. "The trust is broken, Minister. You cannot repair that with promises or treaties. We spent 150 years building a relationship with the Council. You destroyed it in an afternoon by laughing at us and calling us glorified servants." Nari added, "We were not asking for special treatment. We were asking for basic respect, to be treated as equals. The Council could not even give us that." The ministers looked at each other. One of them spoke. "If we cannot convince you to return to the Council, would you at least consider helping with the humanitarian crises? The plague, the refugees. These are people who will die without help." Jiho stood. "That is a decision for Earth's government, not for me. You can submit formal requests through diplomatic channels. Each request will be evaluated individually. But that is all I can offer you, Minister. I am sorry." Jiho walked toward the door, then paused. "One more thing. I suggest you prepare for the next 30 days. Things are going to get much worse before they get better." After the humans left, the 4 ministers sat in silence. Finally, one of them spoke. "What do? We go back to the council and tell them the truth," Quox said. "That we are facing complete collapse. That millions more will die. That the humans are not coming back." He stood. "And then we prepare for the consequences." 2 days later, Velthar learned about the secret meeting. He was furious. He had the 4 ministers arrested for treason. The council fractured even further as multiple species defended the ministers' actions. The chamber descended into shouting matches and threats. Outside the council station, the galaxy continued to burn. The refugee crisis worsened. The plague spread. Wars broke out. Trade collapsed. And every day, more blue dots on the star maps moved toward Earth. 30 days remained. The final 30 days were the worst. On Hana's command ship in Earth's solar system, intelligence reports flooded in from across the galaxy. She read them with a heavy heart. The numbers were staggering. 40 council systems had declared independence. Famine was spreading to 200 worlds. Disease pandemics raged across 8 sectors. The council military could not maintain control. "Commander, we have another delegation requesting permission to approach Earth," her communications officer said. Which species? The Delcari. They are requesting emergency medical assistance for a plague outbreak. Add them to the queue, Hana said. That makes 23 delegations waiting at the perimeter. Yes, Commander. They are asking how long the wait will be. Tell them to submit their requests through proper diplomatic channels. Nari's office will process them in order. On Earth, Nari sat in an office surrounded by holographic screens. Each screen showed a different request from a different species. Medical aid, food shipments, engineering assistance, military support, refugee management. The requests numbered in the thousands. Her assistant Do-Yun entered with more reports. The latest intelligence summary. You need to see this. Nari took the datapad and read it. Her eyes widened. This cannot be accurate. I verified it 3 times, Do-Hyun said. The numbers are correct. The report showed the complete breakdown of galactic infrastructure. 73% of interstellar rescue operations had been human-run. 68% of conflict mediation had been human-led. 82% of xenobiology research had been human-conducted. 45% of trade logistics had been human-managed. 61% of disaster relief had been human-provided. The Council had never tracked these numbers because humans just did the work without asking for credit or recognition. Now that the work had stopped, the galaxy was collapsing. Did the Council ever know about this? Nari asked. Some individuals like Trade Minister Quox figured it out. But the Council as a whole? No. They thought humans were just doing simple support tasks. Nari forwarded the report to Earth's government. They need to see this. It explains why we are receiving thousands of requests. What is the government's position on the requests? They are considering each one individually. No council involvement. Only bilateral treaties with specific species. Nari looked at the screens showing waiting delegations. We will help some of them, but on our terms this time. At the council station, complete chaos had taken over. Velthar no longer controlled the chamber. Delegates shouted at each other. Accusations flew. Some species had formed their own coalitions. Others had abandoned the council entirely. This is your fault, Velthar, the Rogath delegate pointed at the speaker. Your pride destroyed everything. I did what was necessary to maintain the dignity of the council, Velthar shouted back. Dignity? While millions die? While the galaxy burns? The delegate's rocky fists slammed on his desk. I call for a vote of no confidence. Seconded, shouted multiple voices. You cannot, Velthar began. Vote, 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 the chamber chanted. The vote was overwhelming. 41 species voted for Velthar's removal. Only 3 voted against. Velthar stood in shock as security personnel approached to escort him from the chamber. You're making a mistake, Velthar said. The humans are testing us. If we show weakness now, get him out, the Rogath delegate ordered. Trade Minister Quox watched Velthar being escorted away. The former speaker had been released from arrest only yesterday when the council realized they needed experienced leaders. Now he was being removed from power entirely. An emergency election was held. Quox did not want the position, but someone had to lead. The council elected him as the new speaker by a narrow majority. His first act was to issue a formal apology to humanity. His second was to release the data showing how much humans had contributed to galactic stability. His third was to acknowledge the council's complete dependence on human services. None of it mattered. The humans were gone. Then Velthar made his final, desperate move. Despite being removed from power, he still had allies in the military. He authorized a diplomatic mission to Earth consisting of 40 warships. The mission's purpose was to compel negotiations with the human government. When Admiral Krevtok received the order, he stared at it in disbelief. This is madness. Those are your orders, Admiral, the transmission said. I will not attack Earth. I will not threaten the humans. They have done nothing to deserve this. Krevtok stood from his command chair. I resign my commission effective immediately. Find another fool to follow Velthar's insanity. Krevtok was not the only one to resign. Half the senior military commanders refused the order. But enough junior officers, still loyal to Velthar or simply following orders, assembled the fleet. 40 warships jumped to Earth's solar system. On Hana's command ship, alarms blared. Commander, multiple hostile contacts entering the system. 40 warships, military configuration. Hana was already moving. Battle stations. Recall all patrol ships. Get me a tactical analysis now. Commander, they are broadcasting on diplomatic channels. They say they are here to negotiate. With 40 warships? Hana pulled up the tactical display. The enemy fleet was large, but she had been preparing for something like this. Signal all Earth defense ships. Surround them. Do not fire unless fired upon, but make it very clear they are not welcome here. Across the solar system, human ships moved. Over the past 90 days, every human vessel that had been scattered across the galaxy had returned home. Military ships, cargo ships, science vessels, all of them had been refitted, reorganized, and prepared. The Council had only seen humans in auxiliary support roles. They had never seen what humans could do when they focused their full attention on something. The 40 Council warships suddenly found themselves surrounded by 200 human ships. Weapons locked. Targeting systems active. The Council fleet was trapped. On the lead Council ship, the captain stared at his display in horror. Where did they get so many ships? How are they moving so fast? Our intelligence said humans only had basic defense forces. His tactical officer answered quietly. Sir, I think our intelligence was very, very wrong. Hana opened a communication channel to the Council fleet. This is Commander Hana of Earth Defense. You have entered our solar system with a military fleet and hostile intent. You have exactly 1 minute to power down your weapons and surrender, or we will consider this an act of war. The Council captain looked at his surrounded ships, at the superior positioning of the human fleet, at the advanced weapon systems his sensors were detecting. He had been told this would be a simple show of force. Instead, he was about to die. Power down all weapons, he ordered. Surrender protocols. The 40 ships went dark. Human boarding parties secured them without a single shot fired. When news of the failed mission reached the Council station, Velthar's remaining supporters abandoned him. He was arrested again, this time for crimes against the Council. His career was over. His reputation was destroyed. Quox, as the new speaker, sent a message to Earth. It was a formal apology, an acknowledgement of everything humans had done, a plea for help with the humanitarian disasters, and most importantly, a promise that humans would never be treated as servants again. Jiho read the message in his office on Earth. Hana and Nari were with him. What do you think? Nari asked. I think Quox means it, Jiho said. But meaning it and the Council actually changing are two different things. The government wants our recommendation, Hana said. Do we help them? Jiho looked out his window at Earth. At the blue planet, humans had left 150 years ago to join the stars. They had tried to build something good out there. They had tried to help. And they had been treated like servants for it. But people were dying. Innocent people who had nothing to do with the Council's arrogance. We help, Jiho said finally. But on our terms. Individual treaties. Fair compensation. Respect. We do not rejoin the Council. We work with them as equals. Or we do not work with them at all. Agreed, said Hana. Agreed, said Nari. The message went out to the Council. Earth was willing to negotiate. The negotiations took 3 months. Earth's government sent delegations to meet with individual species, not with the Council as a whole. Each treaty was different, customized to what that species needed and what they could offer in return. The medical treaties came first. 15 species signed agreements for human medical assistance. They paid fair prices and provided proper facilities for human medical teams. Most importantly, the contract stated clearly that human doctors and nurses were medical professionals, not servants or assistants. Yuna led the first medical mission back into Council space. Her team of 300 doctors, nurses, and rescue specialists traveled to the Kelvar sector, where the refugee crisis was worst. When they arrived, the local authorities treated them with respect and gratitude. Thank you for coming, the station administrator said, bowing deeply. We have prepared the best facilities for your team. Anything you need, please ask. Yuna was surprised by the change in attitude. "We are here to help. Show us where the refugees are." The refugee camps were worse than she had imagined. 600 million people crammed into inadequate facilities. Disease was rampant. Children were dying from lack of basic medical care. Yuna's team worked 20-hour days for weeks. They saved millions of lives. News of their success spread across the galaxy. More species requested medical assistance. More treaties were signed. The trade treaties came next. Taiyang's Cargo Federation became the premier logistics network in the galaxy. Species paid premium prices for human shipping services because humans delivered on time, every time. Taiyang's ships ran the most efficient routes with the best safety records. "Captain Taiyang, welcome to Station Outpost 7, the station master said, greeting him personally. "Your cargo bay is ready, and we have prepared comfortable quarters for your crew." Taiyang smiled. It was different from before. Now people understood what human logistics meant. They valued it. They paid for it properly. The engineering treaties were more complex. Minho returned to several stations, but this time as a highly paid consultant, not as a low-level maintenance worker. He trained local engineers and supervised major system overhauls. Chief Engineer Minho, his clients called him now. Not our human technician. Not the repair guy. The respect made all the difference. On Earth, Jiho coordinated the diplomatic efforts. He met with representatives from dozens of species. Some negotiations went smoothly, others were difficult. But every treaty was built on the same foundation: mutual respect and fair compensation. The Council, meanwhile, was struggling to reform itself. Quox worked tirelessly as the new speaker, trying to repair the damage. The Council passed new laws prohibiting discrimination against any species. They created oversight committees to prevent abuse. They established fair compensation standards. But the Council itself had changed. It was smaller now, only 32 member species instead of 47. The others had either left or been expelled for refusing to reform. The new Council was more humble, more aware of its limitations. 6 months after the withdrawal, Quox requested a meeting with Jiho. They met on a neutral station, not Council territory. "Ambassador Jiho," Quox said, "I want to thank you for the treaties you have signed with individual species. Your people have saved millions of lives." "We did not do it for the Council," Jiho said. "We did it because it was right." "I understand." Quox hesitated, then continued. "I must ask, though I know the answer. Is there any possibility humanity would consider rejoining the Council? We have reformed. We have changed our laws. We would welcome you back with full respect and equality." Jiho shook his head. "No, Minister. The trust is broken. Perhaps our grandchildren might rebuild that trust, but not us. Not in our lifetime." Quox nodded sadly. "I expected that answer, but I had to ask." He stood to leave, then paused. "You were right, you know, about everything. We took you for granted. We treated you terribly, and we paid a terrible price for it." "The galaxy paid the price," Jiho corrected. "Millions died. That is what happens when arrogance replaces wisdom." "Yes." Quox left quietly. A year after the withdrawal, the galaxy had found a new balance. Humans operated independently, signing treaties and contracts with individual species. They provided medical care, trade logistics, engineering services, and even conflict mediation. But always on their terms, always with proper respect and compensation. Some species adapted well. They learned to maintain their own systems. They developed their own expertise. They became true partners with humanity. Other species struggled. Those who refused to pay fair prices or treat humans with respect found themselves without human services. They had to learn the hard way. The Council continued to exist, but it was different now. Smaller, more careful, more aware that it was not the center of the galaxy, just one organization among many. Humans had shown them that the quiet workers holding everything together were not weak. They were strong enough not to need recognition. Until you took them for granted. On a distant station called Meridian 5, a young human engineer named Kaiwan arrived for his first assignment. He was nervous. He had heard stories about how humans used to be treated before the withdrawal. He wondered if things had really changed. The station master, an elderly avian named Trex, met him at the airlock. Engineer Kaiwan, welcome to Meridian 5. I am Station Master Trex. It is an honor to have you here. Thank you, sir, Kiwan said, surprised by the warm welcome. Please come. I will show you to your quarters first. We have prepared the best accommodations for you and your team. After you rest, I will give you a full tour of the systems that need your expertise. As they walked through the station, Trex continued. I must tell you, we are very grateful you accepted this contract. The previous station master before the withdrawal, he did not treat human engineers well. He thought they were just workers, not professionals. He learned his lesson when the life support systems nearly failed and no human would come to help us. What happened to him? Kiwan asked. He was replaced. By me. And I promised myself I would never make his mistake. Trex stopped and looked at Kiwan directly. You are not here to serve us. You are here to work with us, as equals, as partners. I hope you will find Meridian 5 a good place to work. Kiwan smiled. I think I will, Station Master. Over the next few months, Kiwan and his team upgraded the station systems. They trained the local engineers. They built relationships with the station crew. When the contract ended, Trex asked them to stay longer. Kiwan agreed. Similar stories played out across the galaxy. Humans working with other species, building partnerships, earning respect. The galaxy was healing, one interaction at a time. On Earth, Jiho retired from diplomatic service. He had spent 15 years trying to make the council work, and another year managing the withdrawal and its aftermath. He was tired, but he was also satisfied. He stood in his garden, looking up at the stars. Humanity had left the council, and the galaxy had panicked. Millions had died. Systems had collapsed. But in the end, something better had emerged. Not the unified galaxy the council had promised, but something more honest. Partnerships built on respect instead of hierarchy. Trade built on fairness instead of exploitation. Do you think we did the right thing? Nari asked, joining him in the garden. She had retired too. Yes, Jiho said. We tried to be good members of the council. We tried to help, but they did not want partners. They wanted servants, so we left. And now? Now we have real partnerships with species who value us, who respect us. Jiho smiled. It is not perfect, but it is better. Hana arrived with drinks for both of them. She had returned to civilian life as well. I just heard from Yuna. Her medical team saved another 1,000,000 lives on Proxima Station. The local government gave her a medal. Good for her, Jiho said. They sat together, three friends who had witnessed the galaxy change. They had seen humanity rise, be dismissed, leave, and return stronger. They had seen the council fall and rebuild. They had seen millions die and millions more saved. What do you think will happen next? Nari asked. I think humanity will continue to grow, Jiho said. We will build more partnerships. We will explore more space. We will help more people. But we will do it as ourselves, not as members of someone else's club. And the council? The council will survive or it will not. That is their choice. We gave them 150 years. We tried our best. Now it is time for us to choose our own path. They raised their glasses and toasted to the future, to humanity, to partnership, to respect. Somewhere in the distance, a cargo ship prepared for launch. A medical team packed their supplies. An engineer reviewed blueprints for a new station. Humans working across the galaxy, not as servants, but as equals. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and humanity had found its way.